Welcome to the Directional team for becoming a 2020 Service Department today. My name is Scott Hembrough, and I'm proud to offer this very unique and powerful program designed to increase dealership profits, service profits, but most importantly, how to keep your customers coming back to get their service work done with you and then purchase future vehicles from you. Now, this specific video is for the Directional team, which is the managers, the leaders, the coaches, and it's very important that you get involved with this program. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a used car manager or a body shop manager. Your owner base, your ability to retain those customers is going to impact your profits in the future. So to begin this section, I want to share with you some of the fundamental beliefs that I'm going to be sharing with your people, along with discussing certain steps, certain techniques that are a little bit different than what you may be using, and they may get some resistance, as well as, let's discuss all these different ideas and techniques, trying to determine which are a great fit for your store. I've been working in dealerships training for 30 plus years, and I've seen all kinds of programs offered to dealers, and to be very frank, either most of them didn't work or only a portion of them worked, and then 3 months, 6 months down the road, they just go back to the same old way. And part of the reason is just what we're doing right here. We're getting you involved in the program. We're educating you on it. We're giving you an opportunity to offer your opinion. And then, at the end, that's when we ask for every people to own it, to buy in. Unless you're part of this program, you're going to stand on the sideline. And that's one of the main reasons past training programs have not worked. Too many instances, dealers will be implementing something. They'll buy a new piece of equipment or a new technology, not include the people in it, and it's the one on the front lines that they expect to embrace it and own it, and it just doesn't work unless they're involved in it. I work in dealerships all the time, and I'll ask service advisors for feedback on the service BDC. And they usually respond something like this. Well, it happened this way. I came into work one day and boom, they had a BDC, and someone was now answering my calls, inbound calls. And we can't expect things like that to work. So in this program, we're going to involve everyone that's related to service to be involved in the program, trying to get them to buy in. We just can't afford today to have programs get partially implemented or, like I said, 6 months down the road, go back to the same old way. New car profits, used car profit margins are declining. Used vehicles are getting harder and harder to find. Expenses, and especially floor plan expenses, are going way up. Manufacturers are putting more pressure on you for market share. Now, take into considerations all these new things like ride sharing, self-driving vehicles, electronic vehicles. Customers are getting smarter and smarter, and they're better informed. In the near future, you're going to see more and more 84 and 96 months financing, which means that people are going to get in their cars serviced even longer. And then the one that I hear over and over and over again, we just can't find good people. So, what are the answers for 2019? The service department. Here's some real recent data that came from Cox Automotive. Look at the payments in the past 5 years, how they've gone from $464 up to $536. That's about a 15% increase. Interest rates have gone from just a little bit over 3% to over 5% in the past 5 years. Lease returns have almost doubled in the past 5 years. New car sales have dropped 800,000 units. The point, we can't afford to halfway do things anymore. We can't afford to ignore the biggest profit opportunity that you have, which is the service department. So at the very onset, I want to share some beliefs with you, some fundamentals I've incorporated in this program to make certain everyone on the same page. The first is from the CEO of General Motors, Mary Barra, and she states, I'm on record as saying we're in the midst of seeing more change in the next 5 years than we've seen in the past 50 years. So change is not abnormal. Change is going to be normal. The pushback, the resistance, we got to break those barriers because there are changes that are taking place. Think of what dealers have been doing over the past couple of years, in the most recent years. Seems like everyone has been chasing the internet, trying to become more digital, create a digital footprint. And they've been missing one of the biggest profit opportunities, and that's the service department. Now, the next quote comes from Henry Ford. Here he says, the only thing worse than training employees and having them leave is training them and having them stay. Well, that's pretty much where we've been at. Let's stop for a second and think about sales managers. How much training do they do with their salespeople, either during the week or during the month? They might have daily meetings. They may be doing one-on-ones with their salespeople. And consider this. The average salesperson sees 2, 3, maybe 4 people a day. Service advisors seeing 15, 20, 25 people every single day. They even wait on people that didn't even purchase the vehicle with us, and the only face they see, the only person that creates an impression of the dealership is that service advisor. How much training are they getting on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis? And finally, this fundamental belief is from Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is fundamental. That's key. That's what we're going to be building off of. These pillars have been designed, into this program, and it's going to help build trust. We're going to improve the training in the dealership. We're going to increase and improve communications. We're going to be involving everybody and respecting the people and trying to get all this done in a very timely manner that we've educated everyone on today's buyer. So this is a program that transforms and educates your entire dealership into understanding that we have to stop running customers away. We have to teach everybody in the dealership how to retain customers, educating everyone on the term retention and how important it is to our future success. NADA, National Automobile Dealers Association, states that we have a 74% of the people that are servicing their vehicle with us will possibly come back. They're more than likely to come back and purchase a vehicle with us again, versus it drops down to 30% if they're having their vehicle serviced somewhere else, that they'll be likely to come back and purchase from us. Now, some of the perceptions that we have to deal with is that customers have a perception of the dealership that we're always trying to sell them something. So ask yourself this question. Is creating a higher dollar value per RO more important than customer retention? And then we have to follow that up with the question, how's our pay plan designed? Does retention have anything to do with our pay plan? Or are we constantly putting motivational pay plans in place to get them to write a higher dollar value RO? Sell the people as much as they can. That's how we pay them, and that's how they make a living, so they follow the pay plan. Back in 1990, a dealer from Texas by the name of Carl Sewell wrote a book called Customers for Life. Back then, I read the book like most people did, but I was more concerned with selling cars. Well, it's amazing how much wisdom Carl shared with us 28 years ago, and most of that same wisdom applies today. It was about building trust with customers and building trust with employees, and it's about educating our people. It's about teamwork. It's about measuring the items that we want to get done that are the things that customers want done. And most importantly, he talked about how critical execution is. So we're going to educate everyone in the dealership about this Customers for Life, but we're going to convert it over to a term called Customer Value for Life. The benchmark that they have for the value of a customer every time you sell a car is $10,500. You make $2,500 on average at the time we sell the vehicle, but then there's $8,000 to be made doing service work over the ownership lifetime. Now, everyone needs to be taught about this in the dealership. They need to be focusing on that $8,000. And how can we make that? I've mentioned many times this program is designed for the entire dealership. Now, I built it with 6 modules in mind. Module 1 is for the Directional team. This is the program that all the managers in the dealership, it's designed to inform them of everything this program includes. We talk about today's customers. I go through in depth how retention impacts the dealership. We even go on to spreadsheets and we run what-if numbers. If we rose at 5% in your store, how much is that worth to you? Then we get into why people service with us and why they don't service with us. We discuss pricing online. point, your scheduling process, your appointment process, how we should handle declined work. We're going to discuss in depth the MPI, the multi-point inspection. Then we're going to convert over to the sales to service handoff. We touch with the service advisor the entire road to success, all of the steps. We are going to discuss tablets. We're going to discuss texting, videos. We're going to discuss the service BDC. We're even going to get briefly into service advertising and marketing. Then we spend a lot of time on the service advisor's job description and, what is a service advisor worth to you, the gross profit potential, the amount of training that we're currently doing with them, and how we can prepare our service advisors and our service drive to be prepared for the future. Now, a lot of this will be covered with everyone, but in most cases it'll be limited to just what's relevant to you, what's relevant to them. So that's what Module 1 for is the directional team. Module 2, this is for the service advisors. And we cover a lot of what I covered with the directional team about the customer, the value for life, but in these sections we talk more about what impacts the service advisors and the customer's beliefs about the dealership. We go through step by step each interaction the service advisor has with the customer. It's their road to the sale. We go through each step in detail. We talk about closing techniques, the word tracks that we can use for the objections that they're going to get. We discuss in much greater detail the appointment process and how we can keep the customers updated better throughout the day by using texting. We discuss in detail how to make simple and profitable videos. And of course, we discuss tablets and we go through how they can be used. All of these things are designed to build more trust with the customer. In Module 3, this session is the beginning of a lot of time that'll be spent with the service manager. Now keep in mind, the service manager sits in on every one of the sessions. So we're going to skip an awful lot of the stuff about the customer and things like that, but we're going to be focusing more on trust, on teamwork, on dysfunctions within the team, what causes these dysfunctions, leadership skills, advertising, hiring, staffing, communicating with employee, and then we're going to get into accountability. What we'll be focusing on a daily basis, what we're going to be focusing on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. Then we're going to talk about what I will be providing him on a weekly basis, what the service manager is going to be, tracking, and then we're going to set specific goals and specific timelines for the department, and very closely with this person, helping them implement these ideas in the department and how he can work more effectively with his employees to help them do their job better. Number 4, session 4, this is where we begin working with the sales staff. Again, we educate them on the retention, the importance of retention, and how much impact it can have on their future. And I go through some Excel spreadsheets with them and show them future profits that they can get by having a better follow-up system with the customers. So, we'll discuss, how a great sales to service is handed off, and we'll point out that only 41% are doing it, but they need to be educated and trained on the impact, and then step by step how to do it, between teaching customers how to go online and set their first appointment, get them enrolled in texting at that point in time. But we'll talk about how this is going to create income for them, and what's in it for me, for them, and again how they can get more referrals out of those customers, additional sales out of those customers, which is going to make them much more money. And number 5, this is where we work with the service BDC, and I prefer to call it, as we move forward, the customer care center. Now let me mention, I suggest that we have the service advisors involved in these sessions because they're the ones that are interacting with this department. In my opinion, most of the service BDCs are out of date, so we're not only going to discuss today's customer and retention, but we're going to totally redefine the goals and the functions of this department. That's why I want the service advisors involved in it. So we're going to review word tracks and how they can assist the service advisors in communicating better with the customers. We're also going to talk a lot about the technology and how they can assist with that. But we're also going to make certain that they understand their primary job is to help get more people into the dealership. On Module 6, this is for the remaining members of the service department, the technicians, the cashiers, a warranty clerk, so on, people like that. We discuss this customers today. We discuss the importance of trust, the customer's value for life, the sales to service handoff, the scheduling, and how to make certain that they know that these improved direction that your department is taking. They also need to be educated and taught the importance of things like using video and how much trust it builds with the people and how that's going to help sell additional work. The cashier needs to be educated on the impact that they have on the explanation of the repairs and how much that part of the delivery process has on impacting CSI as we move forward. So that's just an overview of the complete set of modules I've designed, but that's just the foundation. From the experience I've gained by training in dealerships for many years, I've seen way too many programs get partially involved, and I've seen too many programs that 3 months, 6 months later go back to the same old way. Well, Dave Anderson has been an automotive management guru for years. His first book was titled Up Your Business, and for many dealers and managers, this was the guide as to how to run your dealership better. Now, he's written 12 more books since then, and he determined many people would read these books, but they'd have trouble implementing and sustaining the ideas. So, Dave has some new techniques that he built into his most recent book called It's Not Rocket Science, and it's all about how to implement ideas better, how to make them long-term so they're sustaining. So, as I mentioned earlier, I have seen program after program sound good, but after a short period of time, they just fall back to the same old ways. So, all of the best ideas and program and money is wasted if you can't get it implemented properly, if you can't get it sustaining so it continues on. So, that's where we'll use the fundamentals out of this book to make sure that these things are done properly. Now, as I wrap things up, I want to discuss what I think is one of the strongest parts of this program, and which I feel is going to, be our insurance policy to make sure that it is working, and that's the distance training that we're going to be doing. We do a 3-day implementation, or whatever it takes to, based on the size of your store, to get our initial implementation done. But then every single week, I have a 30-minute session individually with each service advisor and with the managers, and we're reviewing over and over, the things that we're, looking at as far as the weekly reports, the monthly reports, the training that we're doing this week, the stuff that we decided that we were going to do for next week, and then we'll follow up with that. So the distance training with the weekly service advisor training and the service manager training every single week, throughout this entire program is what I think is going to implement it better and make certain things don't slip back to the same old way. So welcome again to becoming a 2020 service department today, and get ready to learn new and current techniques to retain customers more, increase profits, and enjoy your work more in the upcoming years.